Hello YouTube, this is Mystikaal aka Sandra, and I'm here to do a recap of Scandal Season 2 Episode 21. Any questions? So we open on Cyrus in the White House with the press corps, and he's giving a statement due to Mellie dropping that bomb and at the interview the night before, and he's giving the president's response, which is basically, the president considers this a private matter between him and First Lady, and he would like to thank the American public for their continued support through this ordeal, or yada yada, whatever it is. Basically, his response was no response. And so Cyrus opens it up and says, any questions? And we get to see throughout the episode the White House press corps asking question after question after question after question, and him basically not answering them. So what was the purpose of asking any questions? Just say, we're not going to answer any questions, thank you, and leave. But no, so they're asking him all these questions, and his response is either refer to the statement I just gave, or I'm not going to answer that, or asked and answered, or y'all kiss my ass. He is not answering anything. So one of the reporters was James, his messy ass husband, and he was at one point kind of sticking it to Cyrus, trying to get him to give an actual answer, but it didn't work. And so at some point after the press conference, you see Cyrus and James in his office, and he's just like, what did you expect me to do? This lucky break, this landed in my lap. Of course I had to do it. What did you expect me to do on my first day of the job when they tell me that the president, you're going to interview the president's, or the First Lady of the United States, that, when I'm supposed to say no, thank you, I'm not going to do it. This fella's, my lucky break, it fell into my lap, of course I'm going to do it. And he's like, what did you expect me to do? And he's like, I expected you not to try to screw me. And, he's like, this is the break of a lifetime. You got yours when Fitz ran for governor, and you went with it, and I'm going with mine. And Cyrus has a nice laugh, hearty laugh from the gut. And he says to him, you think this was your lucky break? Is that really what you think? Because I didn't think that you were so naive. And, that's certainly not a quality any respectable journalist would want to have. But maybe if you're not naive, then maybe you're just stupid. Okay. He broke it down for him. He was like, no, you got that job because Mellie called BNC for you to get that job. They would never have called you for anything if Mellie didn't orchestrate that. And he was like, of all the people who are respectable journalists who she could have called, Diane Sawyer, Brian Williams, Oprah, anybody. She could have called to speak. No, they chose James Novak. This nobody. Who are you? You're nothing. But the only reason she chose you was to get at me. At the same time, she was getting that Fitz. You dumb. He went in on James. It was so brutal and cold and delicious. Oh. Because he said everything I've been thinking and saying. It's like, first of all, please, so have a seat. He shivved him like a jailhouse snitch in the prison yard. He's just sticking and cutting and slicing and dicing. It's like, oh, I see white meat. Stop, Cyrus, stop. It was good. Ooh, it was a thing of beauty. Okay, and he stormed out the room, and he left James there just drinking his tears, just told him, you have no business in that job, because he asked him, oh, what do you think, I'm not good enough? No, you're not. You're not. You have no business in that job, and the only reason he got it is because of Mellie, so Sorry, James. Go sit your ass down somewhere. So at some point after he's done with this press conference, he goes over to Libby's house to retrieve his president. He gets stopped at the door by Tom, who will not let him in. And that leaves me curious, is how is Tom going to let him in? Because does he have the key to Libby's house, or did she have to leave the door unlocked because the president's in there so that, you know, if something happens they can get to him? I was like, how is he? I thought Cyrus was going there with a key, but he needed to be let in. Anyway, Tom wasn't trying to let him in, and you know, he said, I don't take orders from you, Mr. Vice President. And he was like, I don't care who you take orders from. If you take orders from Jesus Christ himself, I am not Jesus. Jesus forgives. Jesus saves. I destroy. And I will make sure that you are left, you know, by the time I finish calling in favors and doing what I need to do, you will be left guarding Teddy on the playground. And Tom had a deep breath. It's like, look, I need a real reason to let you in that door, a credible threat. And he said, no, well, you know, the president just texted me he's having a heart attack. So he lets him in, and Cyrus walks in on Libby and Fitz in bed and he says, get up. Because so, you know, they get dressed, and Libby's like, you know, running off the things that she's going to do to, you know, try to handle the crisis. And he's like, no. You don't fix me. You don't handle me anymore. Step down. This is my problem. I'm going to take care of it. And she's like, but I am better than anybody you got in your staff put together. I'm the one, you know, you need me. And he said, no, I will handle this. If we are going to survive, if this is going to work, then you can't do this anymore for me. So she said, okay. He leaves with Cyrus. And they head back to the White House where their strategists or analysts are all sitting there trying to figure out how he's going to respond to what Mellie said, and he kicks them all out. And you know, Cyrus says, don't tell me that you're not going to respond to this, because you have to respond. And he's like, yes, I am going to respond, and I'm going to tell the American public that I'm not running for office again. So Cyrus tells him, look, if you want to be with Libby, I understand. I get it. She's a great girl. So, you can be with her. Just go to Mellie, smooth it over, do whatever you have to do to fix this, and then you can still carry on with Libby. I'll help you out, get her into the motorcade, sneak her into the White House, whatever you need, I will help you. If it says no, I want to be with Libby. Not in the secret, openly. I'm in love with her, and you know, if I have to give up being the president in order to do that, then I'm going to do that. And that is that. So Cyrus calls Libby. They meet at their park bench, and you know, he tries to convince her that, you know, what she's doing is going to destroy Fitz's career, and that, you know, what she's doing to the history of the nation or what have you. And she's like, look, we already changed the history of this nation once. Isn't that enough? And he tells her, go away, you're breaking my heart. You're breaking my heart. And you know, they leave it on you know, bad terms or whatever. As soon as Libby leaves, Joe Morton's character comes up, and you could tell that they had a previous relationship, and he's like, you know, why haven't you shut down this whole thing between Olivia and Fitz? And you know, he lets him know that Charlie used to be his guy, so he knows everything. You know, he knows about the whole Jake Ballard thing, and why hasn't Cyrus used the Jake Ballard video to shut down the thing between Fitz and Olivia. And you know, Cyrus is just like, he's in his power mode, because he done took down Tom and he took down James, and he's like, no, this is my lane, stay in your lane, you know, this ain't nothing to do with you. And Joe was just like, anything that has to do with the safety of this republic, is my business. And see, guys like you, once they get a little bit of power, they always forget that I have no boundaries. You will shut it down. You will not contact Charlie anymore. He's dead to you. And, you know, he sent Cyrus away with his tail between his legs. The monster got clipped. I was like, oh, Joe's a scary motherfucker, ain't he? But I wonder how they met in the first place. Like, how were they involved? Was he somehow involved in Fitz getting elected? Like, what did he have to do with everything? And also, how did Charlie and Cyrus meet if he didn't know that Charlie was part of B613? Questions, questions, questions. Maybe we'll get flashbacks next season about that. Meanwhile, at OPA, Libby comes in and they tell her what they found out about the court stenographer being involved with the Defiance hearings, and that Charlie stole her laptop so he could get her notes from that, and that proves that Cyrus is not the mole because he knows all about Defiance and he didn't need proof. And you know, that means that the mole knows about election rigging. And Libby, all melodramatically, goes running to her office, opens her closet, and inside the safe, and you know, she opens up the safe and pulls out the Cytron card because she just want to make sure that it's still there. And because of the overly dramatic way she did this, everybody went running after her, and they were all there while she opened the safe, including David Rosen. And so David's like, oh, the Cytron card. And Abby admits, okay, I did steal it. And he's like, that's fine, you know, I said, I'm part of the team now. You know, go Gladiators. So Harrison goes in to Libby's office, and he says, you know, what's your end game? Because you're my client now, whether you like it or not. They're going to name you soon, and you know, once that does, all hell's going to break loose. You are not tethered to anything. The White House is not going to protect you. You know, you're going to be in the wind on your own. So what is your end game? What do you want? I'm going to be here to protect you, to help you, to fix you, you know. And she just blows it off and tells him to go work on finding out if Sally is the mole. So it's like, Libby, listen to him. You don't need some help, girl. So they send a Trojan horse into Sally's email so they can try to track and see, you know, if she's been doing mole-like things. I don't even know what they were looking for in her email. I forget. But it turns out that somebody else is using her email, because at a time that she was logged on with her password and, you know, downloading Black Ops information, she was on camera at a White House function where the president was speaking. She was behind him. So it's not Sally, and they get all pissed because, you know, every lead they think they have turns into nothing. So they're like, oh, we can't take it. And Libby tells everybody to take an hour break, just come back fresh. And David says that he's going to stay behind and watch the White House press briefing, because watching the reporters grill Cyrus is his porn. And he gives a lingering look into Libby's office, and I'm like, oh God, please don't let David be the mole. Please, no, I treated it like I do not want it. Please, no, no, no. And in the meantime, Jake the Snake, he had a meeting with Joe Morton's character, B613, the director, and basically this man's like, he put him over his knees, giving him a spanking. Like, did I not just see you last night? Why didn't you tell me that the president was with Olivia Pope and that, you know, this is going on? And he's like, well, I didn't think, no, you don't, first of all, you don't interrupt me, ever. Okay, second of all, you don't think. You report to me, and I'll do the thing. Like, he was just, okay. So yeah, he said, you know, get me a copy of the evidence of you and Olivia sleeping together, and Jake had brought a picture of Charlie in his apartment so he could show him who was following him and who knew about his dealings. And you know, he said, yeah, all right, and you know, bring him in. And he said, well, Jake goes, well, what about Cyrus B? And he said, no, I'll handle Cyrus. And you know, as I spoke of earlier, he did handle Cyrus really well. So that sends Jake off after Charlie. Charlie goes to his donut place, and it's a different woman there than he's used to seeing, and he asks about it, and the girl tells him, oh yeah, no, she's out sick, that flu that's going around. And he said, well, I thought that was over. She said, well, I guess not. And she was just so overly perky and whatever, and she tipped him off. And he takes his bag and goes into the bathroom in the back, and he's using a black light flashlight on it, and it sees that there's some residue or something on his hand that came from the bag. So he goes rushing out. He's in the street touching everybody he comes across. Hey, how you doing? Is that 13th over there? Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, okay. So we see Jake in a car. You know, he was tracking Charlie with the powder, but once Charlie started touching everybody, laying hands on everybody, you know, it went from 1 target to 12, so they lost him. Speaking of Jake, he called Libby, and he asked how long the president stayed the night before. All night, I'm assuming, he says, and Libby's just like, do you want me to answer that? And he's like, oh, I want a lot of things that the president gets to have first. Now Jake went and he was in his apartment, and he was watching the video of him and Libby together again, and I'm like, look, watching it the first time was enough. I don't need to see this thing again and again every episode. Can we cut that out now? So he makes a copy of it to give to Joe Morton. Now, in the meantime, Charlie, after the incident at the donut shop, he calls Cyrus to find out, you know, what's going on. They're trying to get rid of me, and you know, Cyrus has been instructed. So he's like, who is this? Do I know? I would know you from, you know, I don't know you, so please don't ever call me again. So, cut to everybody going at OPA, coming back from their 1-hour break. David's sitting there, and Charlie's there holding a gun on him. So he gives up his gun and says, look, I just want to talk because I want to hire you, Olivia. I want the deal that Huck got. And she's like, what deal? She's like, well, you know, I'm retired. I'm supposed to be out. I'm not supposed to be, you know, chased down and taken in. And he's like, I want the deal that Huck got, because Huck's supposed to be dead, and you know, he gets to have a life. He's out. He doesn't have to hide. He has a life. I want a life. And Libby's like, I didn't get Huck a deal, which, you know, I have been wondering. They must know he's alive. Why haven't they come after him? Why hasn't there been any repercussions about this? And maybe there will be. It's like, enough bad shit for Huck already. Enough. I know that's where it's heading. Enough. Okay, so instead of helping him, they decide that they need to get the name of the mole out of him. Well, Huck decides, because his world, his rules, and he's going to, you know, get the name of the mole. I thought we were going to have to see him get tortured. Luckily, he just tied him up and asked him for the name. And Charlie wrote down the name and pontificated on the optimal time to eat a donut It's like, okay, thanks for sharing. And he instructs Huck on how to kill him quickly and painlessly and with the least amount of mess. And Huck's like, yeah, I know, you trained me well. Don't worry, I won't miss, and it's going down. So he's got the gun to Charlie's head, and Quinn comes in and gets him, talks him down and tells him, do you want to be a gladiator or do you want revenge? Because the way I hear it, you can't have both. That's what he told her when she wanted him to kill Hollis Doyle for her. So she talked him down. So they head back to the office. In the meantime, Libby has gone into Harrison and given him 2 folders. One folder with the name of people who owe them favors, that he'll be able to use in for future cases coming up, and the combination to the safe. And the other folder has like a backup plan that in case Libby gets named, of what I don't know what's in that folder, but she said open it only in dire need. And so she's headed to the White House at this point, and she left Harrison in charge. If something happens, then you continue without me, and you'll be okay, and I'll worry about me. Don't worry about me. I am not your client. In my world, my rules. Okay, so she is going to the White House, and he's reviewing the information in the folders, and he's getting ready. He goes to put them into the safe, and he realizes that the Cytron card is gone. The Cytron card. The Cytron card. Why in the bloody hell does the Cytron card still exist? In what world does it make sense that she kept that card? As soon as she got it, she should have taken it to an abandoned parking lot somewhere with a blowtorch and melted that thing down until it became one with the asphalt. It makes no sense at all that she would keep that card. What was she going to do with it? Show it to Fitz and be like, hey baby, this is how we rigged the election for you. Or was she going to use it for the next election? Or was she going to give it away in a gift bag in her next party? It's like, whoever gets that card gets to be the next president. Like, what purpose would there be for stashing that card anywhere? It should have been destroyed immediately. Writers, that is such sloppy writing. It's inconceivable that is a thing that's happening. Okay, so Cytron card has been stolen. That's when Huck and Quinn come in. They've got the name, and they tell them that the Cytron card's been stolen by Charlie. And Abby's like, it's okay because Charlie got the card, but Huck got Charlie. And the kid's like, no, I talked him into letting him go. Bad move there, sorry. And then, well, did we get the name of the mole at least? And yes, the mole is Billy Chambers, who we haven't seen in 20 some odd episodes. Has had no relevance to the story. Just gonna pop him back up out of nowhere for some dumbness. So yeah, Charlie was supposed to have killed Billy Chambers, but I guess they got into cahoots with each other and have been working. They have to have been working with Sally because the mole affected that military operation that they tried to do when they were trying to rescue the hostages, and that happened long after Billy was disappeared. So there's somebody in the White House who's working with him, and it has to be Sally, but I guess we'll see how that turns out. So we see Billy Chambers in a limo, and somebody's getting in. He says, did you get it? And he said, yeah. He hands him the Cytron card, and the camera pans, and it is David Rosen. David, my David. David, why? Why, David? Like, okay, I understand that one, David's just stealing back what was stolen from him. And two, you know, they did destroy his life. And so I get it. I get why he would do it. And I get that it's kind of, you know, coming back to them what they did to him. But still, David, they took you in. They welcomed you into the midst. They let you in on their secrets. They put you in gladiator training. You know, they let you stay on their couch while you was sitting there in your underoos eating their cereal. Like, they took you in. They made you one of them. And this is how you repay them? Not my mama bird, Gina. Not my mama bird. Damn. Damn you, Joshua Molina, for making David so damn likable because I loved him. My David, that was my David. My heart broke into a million little pieces. I'm going to have a moment of silence for David right now. Because he is dead to me. Like, if someone put a bullet in his head in the next episode, I wouldn't bat an eye. I don't know. You betrayed us. You betrayed us, David. Damn you. No, it's done. It's over. Finito. Oh, I forgot about the president. So he's writing his speech about how he's getting ready to step down, and Cyrus is trying to convince him, and he's tried to convince Libby, and nothing's happening. So he goes to get Fitz's papers of candidacy. That he's going to run for the second term. That word ain't going to come out right now. And he wants to retrieve them and withdraw them. And he finds out that Fitz never filed the paperwork. So he goes to Libby. Libby goes to Fitz. Did you ever plan to run for second term? And he doesn't want to answer. He's like, oh, it doesn't matter now. The papers are just a formality and I could file them at any time. And she's like, no, but did you plan to run? And he's like, yeah, I was. And she's like, no, you weren't. This is because of defiance. Because of what we did to you in defiance. What I did to you in defiance. You weren't going to run because you didn't think that you could win on your own. You don't believe in yourself. It shook your confidence. And, you know, if you don't want to be the president anymore and you want to come be with me, then that's fine. Great, we'll do that. But if you do want to do this and it's just that you don't believe in yourself, then I can't let you do this because it would be on my mind and on my heart every day that because of what we did to you, you gave up what you wanted. And you would eventually come to resent me for it. So it wasn't that he's making this great sacrifice to be with Libby and you know, that's what he's giving up for his love for her. It was just, he just didn't believe in himself. Way to ruin Shonda. Yay. Okay, so he goes to make his speech and he has his speech prepared that he's going to step down, and he puts it aside and he goes off the cuff and he says that, you know, he's going to run. He's going to run and we'll see what happens from there. Now, in the meantime, Mellie has been meeting with a fixer of her own who basically, I don't even care. I like the guy. He's very familiar to me. I've seen him in something recently, but he read Mellie because she was trying to be smart and slick with it, and he wanted her to be completely honest with her, and said, I'm your confidant, your hairdresser, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and all of this, and I want you have to be 100% honest with me. And she's just like, look, my hair is done. Don't tell me you're my hairdresser. I don't think I'm gonna be, swayed by the fancy words and everything. I can lie. I can be honest too. The matter just depends on what works best for me. And so he reads her and is just like, yo, yeah, I've always loved your performances, like when you cried about your miscarriage and how you always make sure that you have Teddy on your side at every public appearance. It's flawless. I love how you always pretend to be, so sweet and by the president's side. So he read her, and I guess that convinced her that he was the guy for her. He wanted her to reveal Libby's name so that, that it would put a face to the name or to the scandal, and that, it would look better for her. But Mellie didn't want to give up the name until she saw how the president responded, and she had him get a copy of the president's speech that, he was going to step down. And, she just, like, he's really going to stick to it. Like, he's not budging. And he's going to throw away the presidency like it was nothing. And the guy still asks her again to reveal the name. She's like, no, that's my trump card. I'm not going to reveal the name until I see the speech, because I know he's not going to go through with it. Underneath it all, I know Fitz, and he's not going to go through with it. And since Fitz didn't go through with it, she felt right, and she's like, okay, she feels like now we can move forward from here. So I don't know what's going to come next. I just feel she's going to be back in the White House, and it's going to be the status quo again, but let's see how it ends. Let's see. Next week is the finale, so let's see how it all wraps up. That is this episode in a nutshell, so thank you for watching. Thumbs up, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Okay, bye.